Welcome to Long Live Baseball. This week, the Cardinals' starting pitching woes continue. It's Jackie Robinson Day. Pete Rose. Mike's wife's shoes. Welcome back. I'm just reading the introduction piece that Mike Jones wrote. Welcome back to L.A., Cody Bellinger. Beat the streak. Mike's upset about this. I don't know. He's picking a lot of Cardinals in the beat the streak thing. That's kind of interesting. St. Louis, we got you covered with the Cardinals and the Cubs. News and notes from around the league, and we will finish with Mike's dictionary segment. But did you know, Mike, that hot Cheetos were actually invented by a janitor?
Listen, that actually makes, the more that I've reflected on that actually makes a lot of sense in one sense, because I think that, I've done some custodial work, and I think that just as a general rule, custodians like the hot stuff going in.
Oh no.
Well, I mean, you think about it. Usually it does not end well for me when I have a lot of spicy foods. And I don't mean no pun intended, or should I say no bun intended when I say okay, sorry. But I mean, because listen, if you go to Chicken Lips to go or Martini's Grill in Burlington, Iowa, and you have what is possibly the best buffalo chicken based meal on the face of the planet, Chicken Lip.
Yeah.
If you go there and eat those, your next day is going to be, let's just say, interesting.
Okay.
All right? You know what I'm saying. So those flaming hot Cheetos, I don't know. It's not like I'm a fan. How about you?
I'm not a fan. I'm not a huge Cheeto guy. As I've gotten older, I tend to be as boring as humanly possible with my snacks. I like popcorn. I'm a big popcorn guy. I'm a big. I tell you, if you and Abby can attest to this, if you leave buffalo chicken dip in the fridge with Tostitos chips, it's not going to last very long. I don't know what it is about that. It's just, it's gone. It's going to be gone before you can turn around and walk into the other room. So that's my problem. Everybody's got a problem. That's one of mine.
Vice. It's your vice.
Yeah. It's too good, man. It's too good. I don't know what to say about it.
When you called it, you referred to it as buffalo chicken dip.
Yeah.
Would you? You see, we call it up here. We call it chicken lip dip.
Oh yeah. See, it's changing me. The South. It's changing me.
Do you down in the South? Do you Southerners? Do you think you could take a hold of the term chicken lip dip down there, down in the South, or is it too? It almost sounds Southern.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think. It's funny because Kansas City, I joke around with Abby all the time about how you Southerners can't handle the cold or whatever, and you look on a map, and Burlington, Iowa is in southeast Iowa, right? So It's really not that. It's probably, I don't even know how far north it is. It's not, can't be that much further north than Kansas City, but it's hilarious to say because it's like, you guys, you Southerners, you don't know what the tough times are like. In Iowa, there's snow pelting you basically 375 days a year in the face, and the wind is whipping in every direction that you're trying to walk. So Don't you give me this crying business about it being too cold down here. Even though it's, Burlington, Iowa is 10 miles north of, I don't know how long.
Longitudinally.
Yeah, I didn't pass geometry. I don't know how I passed high school, but don't tell anybody because my job depends on me having a high school diploma. But anyway, it is Jackie Robinson Day today, right? You told me this before the show, and I'm ashamed of myself. I didn't realize that, but Mike, do you want to talk about Jackie Robinson and this article that you shared with me before we hopped on here?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, that's something to be on the lookout for. Really, what I want to touch base on during the show today, just be on the lookout. I'm going to put together a little special segment, thanks to the Nisei Lounge on Waveland Avenue in Chicago, Lakeview, just outside of Wrigley Field, probably. Well, anyway, thanks to them. Annually, what they do is they reprint an article, and I'm gonna do something with that article because I'd read the article and I thought it was pretty good, and it'll be on the show later on, hopefully today, this weekend, since it's Jackie Robinson's day today. Hopefully this weekend, and don't know what kind of time you have for the editing things, but kind of springing that on you. But the reason it's Jackie Robinson Day today is because on this day, in 1947, it was opening day, and Jackie Robinson made his major league debut on this day. And so now all across Major League Baseball, when I woke up this morning, the MLB Play app said that there were no games scheduled today. And I went, what? And it was just a glitch. The app was glitching. But actually, in every baseball stadium across the country today, your favorite player will be wearing a specific number in recognition of Jackie Robinson and what he did for Major League Baseball and African Americans, Black people all across our country. And today we celebrate that. So, tip of the hat to Jackie Robinson. Hey, yeah, headphones.
I have to take my headphones off. I have these new fancy JBL headphones. Got to take them off. Jackie Robinson, I mean, very few guys are, I mean, just the story behind that is fascinating. And everybody, that I know of knows, even if you're not a baseball fan, knows who Jackie Robinson is, and for good reason. And, one of my favorite stories that I tell on the show is Bob Costas recounting, Stan Musial in one of those All-Star games, which I was actually looking up to put Jordan Walker in perspective. I was looking up Stan Musial, his first 12 games compared to Jordan Walker's 12 games, because it's totally unfair of me to do that, but I had to go look it up because Stan Musial, as part of Jordan Walker, he broke that Stan Musial's record for players under 20 years old, their hitting streak, which his hitting streak came to an end. But just Bob Costas talking about Stan Musial sitting down with the black players at the All-Star game and playing cards with them and how big of a deal that was,
Right.
that, and just these things and, taking these steps toward, equality and fairness and just really just plain decency,
Yeah.
like what it means to be a human being and just being, I don't know, kind and thoughtful and just respectful of everyone, and just the strides that we've made in that regard and the strides that we still have to make. And Jackie Robinson represents all of that, and it was he had a tough road to go, and I'm ashamedly still haven't seen that movie with it, 42, which I still need to watch it.
Yeah.
I still need to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I admittedly I don't watch too many movies these days because I'm really busy, but I still need to see that one for sure. It's been on my list for a long time. But yes, today's a great day for baseball. Every day's a great day for baseball, but today especially, it's amazing that every player wears number 42, and it's really a sight to see. And I'm so happy that Major League Baseball does this. So I don't know. So do you want to? I'm looking at the show sheet here. I don't know what direction now you want to go in, because I'm seeing.
Yeah,
I'm seeing Pete Rose on here. Eventually we're gonna have to talk about the Cubs and the Cardinals. I'm gonna have to talk about what they're gonna do with their starting pitching. But what do you want to? Which direction do you want to go?
Well, first of all, let's talk about Tampa Bay. I mean, Tampa
Yeah.
Bay's win streak is over. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot to talk about there. Isn't it funny though when you're talking about streaks that's how they are? It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, Tampa Bay was like, oh my gosh, they've set a new record and for an opening day streak and then it just ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all streaks come to an end.
Yeah. Well, they do. I mean, hitting streaks in particular, I mean, they come to an end, like you just talked about with your guy, Jordan Walker. I mean, first player, what was it? Under the age of 20, you probably just said it, but under the age of 20, longest hitting streak as a rookie. And what did it get up to?
12.
12. Yep. And then it ended. Yep.
Yep. And he tied a 111-year-old record, though.
Think about that. 111 years. Now, of course, when you think about 1941 and Joe DiMaggio, and so that streak is held. I don't know what the math is on that. I'm terrible with year math. Are you any good at year math?
I'm not good at math, period. But
yeah.
So no. But I get your point. The overall point is good, though. It's been, when did Joe DiMaggio play and how many years has it been? And that's one of those records that a lot of people think will never be broken. I mean, 56-game hitting streak, right? It's unbelievable to think about. I mean, that's a third of the season where you're just hitting the ball. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. And then when it feels like whenever somebody gets close to that, like, oh boy, I remember Jimmy Rollins one year. Jimmy Rollins is up to 30-some. Well, he's still got to hit in 20 games in a row.
Right.
Even when you get to 30.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to say, and I can't believe I couldn't do the math, because here's the thing. Happy birthday to Pete Rose. Okay. Pete Rose just turned 82 years old.
Wow.
And what is significant about 82 years old is that means that you were born in 1941. And when I did the math on that, I'm like, wait a minute. That means that my mom could have married Pete Rose because they're right around the same age. And then I could have been a Major League Baseball player. Well, I mean, if my mother would, I don't know. My dad was a pretty good baseball player too, to be honest with you. I have a ball here on my shelf that is signed by my dad. He went down to Arizona and played in a World Series for people over the age of 60 or something like that. 20. Wow. This is 20 years ago.
Okay.
But so think about that. 82 years. 82 years. And Pete Rose is, it's his birthday, 82 years. And so the question has to come up, when are we going to put this man in the Hall of Fame? And I know we talk about this frequently, but let me just read this quick list. 1973 NL MVP, 1975 World Series MVP, 17-time All-Star, 3-time World Series champ, 3 times National League batting title, 4,256 hits, first of all time, 746 doubles, second all time, 135 triples, 160 home runs, 1,314 RBIs, a 303 hitter with a 118 OPS. That guy belongs in the Hall of Fame. We're talking about, so now let's shift just a little. Wrigley Field just added a sports book to the exterior of the ballpark. There are a lot of people, and me, I'm the old curmudgeon on the show. I'm the guy that don't change this beautiful game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can walk into the sports book. Now, I haven't seen it. I don't even know if it's open yet. But my understanding is that I'm going to be able to, from the outside of the stadium, present my ticket, walk into the sports book, place my bets on whether Ian Happ is going to hit a home run or have a single or parlay, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm going to be able to walk into the ballpark through that place, and I'm going to be able to see whether or not my bet came true. Now, there's a new culture that has slowly seeped, is the only word that I can use, almost without anyone recognizing it, in Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball used to be the place where this is America's game. It's tradition. We're not, gambling is frowned upon. We're going to stay away from that. And they were the holdouts in that regard, right? No more. And it slowly and sneakily happened, in my opinion. But it had to have been calculated.
Well, to your point, and it happened in the NFL. I don't know if you're familiar with Calvin Ridley, but he got in trouble for placing parlay bets again on his own team, which, as far as I understand, that's what Pete Rose was betting on his own team. It's not like he was trying to throw any games. And Calvin Ridley's suspension was for a year. He was suspended for a year, and guess what? Now he's reinstated, and I'm sure if Calvin Ridley puts up the numbers and has a great career, he's going to be eligible for the Hall of Fame. So, yes, that was a different time. They definitely need to revisit this. Let us know in the comments what you think, but I couldn't agree with you more, especially now since the sport is going to be profiting off of gambling and these sports books that are quite literally in the stadium or next to the stadium or right as you enter the stadium. It's crazy to think about that now, Mike, if you really think about it, that's a reality, and Pete Rose is not even really being talked about as a guy that should be reevaluated for being in the Hall of Fame because he's outside of that process. And, we're long overdue for having Adam Dorr on the show, but I'm sure he could tell us more about that too, that the process of that, he broke it down the last time he was on. But yeah, I agree with you. That's ridiculous to me. And it's, right. You talk about fairness. I mean, the hypocrisy just runs deep in that situation for sure. Yeah. So now we've talked about Pete Rose. I don't even know what this is doing on the show. Okay, go ahead. What is it?
Well, let me just ask you a quick question. Okay. Have you or will you gamble on baseball?
Yeah, probably. I mean, if I'm going to Wrigley Field, right, with you, I'll put a little bet on the Cardinals for like $20. Like, why not? Like, I don't know. It's fun as long as you're entertained. Yes, as long as you're not, it's like with everything else in moderation. Everything's okay. As long as you're not, throwing your life savings away. It is what it is with everything, right? So yeah, for entertainment purposes. Now, will I be betting every day with a purpose? No, I'm not probably ever going to be in that realm. But I don't know. What about you? Are you gonna?
Well, and here's the thing. I guess until now, it's like I didn't realize how prolific this thing was. I'm gonna avoid it like the plague because I have a very addictive personality, and I think it would be a dangerous thing for me to do as part of my entertainment dollars. And when I walk into, I don't know that I'm going to support it.
Sure.
At the ballpark, I'll use my dollars to support other things that I think are more meaningful at the ballpark, like Cubs charities or things of that nature. Than that. So, but nothing. It's just one of those things. There's something about it being the old timey guy that rubs me the wrong way because I got to be the old timey guy on the show. That's part of my role. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't even want to talk to you about some of the conversations Abby and I have been having about the baseball games and the pace. She's like, "Oh man, I've been telling all my friends like the baseball games are only 2.5 hours now," and so like I don't know if it's drawn her in, as a casual fan, but it's definitely something. Like when we went, over opening day, she's like, "Oh man, this was kind of nice." Like to her, it's like, "Oh, good, we're not here for 4 hours or whatever." But so I don't know if other people are having those conversations. I don't know, but I think it's definitely having an effect on some people. So it's interesting. I just noted it. I filed it away, and I thought it was interesting. So I think we're in the minority with this, Mike, is what I think.
Are you looking for an old-timey guy rant?
Well, I don't. We have to save that. We have to save that for later.
I know.
We have to save it. Do you want to talk about your wife's shoes?
Well, first, because you kind of transitioned into the rules changes piece there, right? Yeah. I mean, you did a little bit of let's talk rules changes first, okay?
All right.
Because you're kind of talking about the rules changes and the timing, and let's face it, all of the statistics and the numbers. There's more stolen bases. There's more hits. There's more action. The games aren't taking as long. Everybody's happy. It's utopia. It's that. No, there is still a segment, and a very vocal segment out there. And I'm going to get to this a little bit later in my tweet of the week. But there still is a segment of our population, of the baseball fandom population, that thinks this is ridiculous. That we don't want more. I am going to purchase my Make Baseball Games Longer T-shirt. I'm going to purchase my Make Baseball Slower T-shirt. And that's part of because, and I'm going to put Long Live Baseball's Twitter on the back of the shirt so that maybe we can get more followers and subscribers. So,
there.
but as old-timey guy, listen, it's good for television. It's good for television, right? It's not good for, and if there's a time when I'm okay with it, is when that baseball game's on and I don't have to spend 4 hours watching it on TV, right? But when I'm at the ballpark, doggone it, I want that to last. I want to smell it. I want to hear it. I want to be there. I want to be talking to my wife or my buddy or the person that I just happen to randomly sit down next to in the bleachers. And I just want to talk. I want to be there for as long as I possibly can, because it's beautiful. And I'm afraid what my first in-person game is going to be like this year. I'm a little bit worried about that. Like, I think it's just going to blow by too fast, too fast. Mm-hmm. All right. So listen, my wife is not, she's never been really a big, huge baseball fan. Like, I think, but I have, this is exciting news to me. This is very exciting.
All right. Oh, Lord.
My wife got some new shoes, and these were a gift, and she was excited about them. And look at them. They're awesome. I mean, seriously, this is good news to me because hey, because of my interest in baseball and the Cubs, she has jumped on board, and she is now a Cubs fan. I mean, it's official. She got shoes that have the Cubs logo on them. Shoes. She's had shoes with the logo on them.
It's crazy. I want to say you're nuts, and you are, but I will say this: my wife we went into a store in St. Louis. We weren't married yet; we were still dating. We were on a trip in St. Louis, and we were going to see a Cardinals game. And I don't know if she'd ever seen a Cardinals game before, but she said, "Oh, we're going to a Cardinals game. I should get a shirt." And we just pop in, and she knows I like Stan Musial, so maybe that. But she just went right toward the Stan Musial shirt and said, "Oh, what do you think of this one?" I couldn't have been prouder. I was like, "You don't even know how good of a choice you just made." Yeah. For somebody who's not a Cardinals fan, but she's born in Kansas City, so she's a Royals fan, as you should be, by the way. So I was born in Southeast Iowa. You have your choice there of Cardinals, Cubs. That's basically it, if I'm being honest. I don't know. Maybe if you have a crazy uncle who's a Red Sox fan. But I don't want to go too far into this, but I'm sick of these people who are born in Kansas City, right? Have don't have any family anywhere else, like, not in Boston, not in LA. But who do you like? Oh, I'm a huge Dodgers fan.
Makes absolutely no sense. No sense.
How did this happen to you?
Yeah.
I want to know. Because somewhere in the family tree, if you track it back far enough, there was somebody who probably just said, I'm just picking the winner, and whoever that is, that's who I'm rooting for. And that's not right. That's not right. You don't get that, all right? Some people are trying to get me off the Chicago Bears bandwagon, right? And if people don't know, yes, I am a Cardinals fan and a Bears fan, and yes, it's possible because the St. Louis doesn't have a team anymore, okay? And the Bears played as closely to the Iowa Hawkeyes as possible. They were basically like a carbon copy of one another. And so I was a Hawkeyes fan and a Cardinals fan before I was a Bears fan. And so and people in Kansas City are trying to get me. He's like, "Oh, just come over here, Seth. It's nice. We win Super Bowls." I said, "No. You only get one. You only get one team. That's it. You got it, and you have to stick with them through thick and thin. You have to sit with them in the misery. You have to be miserable because guess what? Chiefs fans were miserable before they got Patrick Mahomes. They knew going into most games, our quarterback's not as good as the other quarterback. But guess what? All that misery that you sat through for years and years and years. Now, look what happened. You have Patrick Mahomes. And it's the same thing for Cubs fans in 2016. Misery, misery, misery. And then the jubilation. When you won, you finally won the World Series. Oh my God, this is what sports is about. And this is why you can't switch. You got to support the local team.
You were not even alive when this happened. When Jim McMahon became the quarterback of the Chicago Bears, and he had the sunglasses, and he had the big diff in, and he had the headband that had the commissioner's name on it, and and we were doing the Super Bowl shuffle, baby, in Chicago, and prior to that, misery.
Yeah,
misery. It was the most horrible. It was terrible. You said it more. It was better when you said it.
This is why, Mike. As a sports fan, we could write a whole book on this. This is how to be a good sports fan. And to be honest with you, that whole rant stemmed from women's clothing.
Can we please? She's never been a fan of anything else. Yeah, another baseball team. So now she is a Cubs fan, and I love it.
Yeah, and she can choose. And by the way, to clarify, that's well within her right as a person, right? If you had no interest in sports, and now she lives in Southeast Iowa, and she married you, and now it's like, okay, my husband's a Cubs fan. It's not like she's saying, well, who's the best team in baseball? The Yankees or let me pick. It's not like she's doing that. She's like, no, my husband's a Cubs fan. I'm going to support him in being a Cubs fan, so I'm going to be a Cubs fan, right? That's totally allowed.
Yeah, absolutely. And that we need to have, I don't remember where I had heard the conversation, but the conversation was, can you be a fan of two teams?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. So can you be a fan of,
now what do you mean by fan? What do you mean by fan?
Well, yeah.
I like other teams. Other teams. But if the Royals lose, it's not going to affect my day.
Okay. All right. Yep. That's good. And I think that would be an interesting conversation for a future show. I agree.
It's a great conversation.
And also, I think that would be, you and I have collaborated on some writing projects in the past. And I think that your suggestion that we write a book about fandom is on point. I think we should start writing the book. I think that would be an excellent. I've always wanted to write a book. I would love to write a book with you, and I think that is an excellent topic for a book.
All right, it could be fun. We could be comedy. I like it. I like the idea. I have to workshop some other ideas. let us know what kind of book you want about fandom in the chat. Give us some ideas, and maybe we'll take them. All right.
I definitely need to bring more women's clothing segments to the Long Live Baseball show, because that created a marvelous diatribe by you regarding fandom.
Yeah. And I and also randomness is good. I think it's Bill Rafferty in the NCAA tournament. Whenever they're going to break, and let's say the guy just made an amazing play, this is how he takes a section to break. And I've heard it before, and nobody says anything, but you'd think, would somebody have a problem with this at CBS? CBS, it's not like you're on a cable show or something. This is national television. He goes, and Anderson down the lane, a little lingerie on the tin, and then it cuts to commercial.
A little lingerie on the tin.
I think so. Yeah, it's just saying, or he says onions, and then it cuts to break. It's just stuff like that. It's beautiful. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, so why onions? Why? I need to ask him. Like, why onions? I don't even know if this guy calls games anymore, but I just remember, I think it was
onions.
Bill Raff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or garlic. Hey, why not garlic?
Right.
Bill, I need to hold. Anyway, I think it was Bill Rafferty.
Yeah.
It's Bill Rafferty. Yep, this guy right here. So yeah. Anyway, so I think we got to get into Cubs talk, Mike. Give me your Cubs. How'd the Cubs do this week? What were the high points? What were the low points?
I'm thinking about doing a little week in review, but really in the big picture for the Cubs this week, it's been an excellent week. I mean, one thing that we haven't talked about in terms of just baseball overall is the standings. And the National League Central currently, obviously, Milwaukee's in first, 10-4 on the year. They're 7-3 over their last 10, 1-2 in a row. The Cubs are in second. They traveled out to the West Coast. They're on a West Coast trip right now. Played at Dodger Stadium last night. Ian Happ almost hit for the cycle. He had a single, a homer, and a double, and then in his last at bat, hit one. There really is no alley at Dodger Stadium, so a triple is a hard thing to accomplish there, from what I understand, according to Pat Hughes. But he hit one kind of into the alley and had to settle for another double. So in another ballpark, he might have hit for the cycle. And hey, we just signed Ian Happ to a 3-year extension. Yeah. Nico Horner's been signed to a 3-year extension. Justin Steele's tossing bullets at the Dodgers. I think he pitched for 6 innings and no runs, if I remember correctly. I mean, so kind of fun to be seeing the Cubs are playing well. Seiya Suzuki is back, hits a homer in his return to the lineup for the Cubs. That's something for Cubs fans to be excited about. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. Now, I'm going to go back to the rules change thing for just a short segment on a Cub. Cody Bellinger returned to Dodger Stadium last night. And I don't know if you saw his return, but the thing that we generally enjoy seeing when it comes to the return of a player to a stadium. Now, I don't think this is going to happen for Wilson Contreras, because he did a bad job when he left. He burned the bridge. He said things that were, it's okay to be bouncing around from team to team, but don't go negative on your old team, because it's kind of like changing jobs. You want to change a job because you're not happy where you are. A good way to do it is to find a new job and then leave the place you are and leave it in a good note, because then when you return, the people that loved you are still going to love you at some level, right? And Wilson did not do that. Okay, I bounced way around on that. Cody Bellinger returned to Dodger Stadium, where prior to the game, he got a tremendous ovation and that kind of thing. And as is tradition in baseball, when he came up to bat in his first at bat, Cody Bellinger walked up to the plate, and the Dodger faithful stood and applauded and applauded and applauded. And so he stepped into let's talk about this. There's an article here in Sports Illustrated by Patrick Andres. And in 2017, he delivered one of the best seasons by a rookie of this century. 2 years later, he was named the NL MVP after batting .305 with 47 home runs and 115 RBIs. And so he left the Dodgers. And as he stepped into the box to lead off the top of the second inning, they rose to give him a standing ovation. Home plate umpire Jim Wolf responded by assessing Bellinger with a pitch clock violation after he stepped out of the batter's box to take the ovation, putting him down in the count 0-1 against Dodgers pitcher Noah Syndergaard. They gave him a pitch clock. He stepped into the box. The applause started. He stepped out of the box, took an extra practice swing, stepped into the box. The umpire gave him the exactly. You're shaking your head. If you're listening on the podcast, Seth is shaking his head side to side vigorously because it's complete and utter crap that a baseball player who's getting a standing ovation in this beautiful game that we have would be assessed a pitch clock violation in that circumstance. And if that's what it's come to, I'm going to put my readers back on and I'm going to say something needs to be done because that is just crap. Okay, back to
as your schedule falls in the background there. Your voice just caused the poster to fall down.
This thing, I got a sticky thing that only lasts about 20 seconds.
Oh well, that's a bit.
I'm gonna have to get the 3M stuff.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I mean, there's got to be an exception for that, right? I mean, if clearly the umpire's got to have some discretion there in a moment like that. Now, obviously, you could argue, well, that's a slippery slope, but it's obvious when you're giving a standing ovation, right, for somebody who's returning to a team where they played for a long time, and the fans want to have this moment with them and recognize them. And what about curtain calls? Are curtain calls is that gonna affect the game too? If the team wants a curtain calls, we got to start the next at bat right away. And I completely agree. I think there's got to be some flexibility within this for moments like that, and it's not gonna delay the game too much, right? The fans, if it's about the fans, right, and you made this change for the fans, that's what you said, Rob, then we have to think about what do the fans want in this moment. They want to recognize Cody Bellinger. Okay, then you need to give them that opportunity to recognize Cody Bellinger without penalizing him by giving him a strike. It's stupid. It's very stupid. And yeah, I agree. They've got to tweak this a little bit, especially in the playoffs. I think if like we keep saying, and I don't want to go down this pitch. Thanks, you got us on the pitch clock thing again. Get 3-2 count, right? I don't even want it to be an option. Like, I don't care how long a playoff baseball game takes. I don't care personally how long a regular season game takes, but I can hear the argument for it, I guess, even though I don't like it. Playoff baseball, why don't you just, who cares about, you've already seasoned them to speed up. Like, that's playoff baseball. Like, yeah. Shouldn't you want eyes on your game for as long as possible? I mean, the engagement's going to be there. I mean, it doesn't matter. You have the same opportunity for a blowout with the pitch clock, without the pitch clock. And I guess you could say, well, we want to get the blowout over with. But I don't know, man. I completely agree. I think that's stupid. And now every former Cardinal that comes back that we want to give a standing ovation for, it's like, well, got to get in the box, I guess.
Hey, think about it this way. Here's the one here's how I want you to think about it. And I know we're under 5 minutes. We're on the clock today, so we got to get. We probably need to get to the tweet of the week and all that sort of thing. But imagine this: today, I consider myself. Hey, wrap it up. We got to get going. Let's go. Yeah. We got to get the game started.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, if we don't have some change in what's going on, in regards to that. And listen, Patrick Andres, Sports Illustrated, says it best in his article when he mentions that, in that circumstance, Bellinger did get in and grounded out to first on a full count, wound up 1 for 4 with a double and a walk, as the Cubs romped, by the way, in an 8-2 win over the Dodgers. The real winners, however, according to Andres, were the rule makers of Major League Baseball. Well put.
Yeah, that's funny.
Loved his article.
Can I talk briefly here, as we are up against the clock, about and I noted this in my week in review, and I think you're starting to see it with the Cardinals lineup that they just posted an hour ago for today's game against the Pittsburgh Pirates. You are seeing this problem, the problem of sitting on too many of these prospects, too many of these younger players. Here's the Cardinals lineup for today. April 15th, 1:15 start time against the Pittsburgh Pirates. They have Brendan Donovan playing first, Burleson in left, Goldschmidt's DHing, Arenado's at third, Gorman's at second, Jordan Walker's in right, Newt Barr is back, and he's playing center field. Tommy Edmonds playing shortstop, and Kisner's playing for Wilson Contreras. Notice that I did not mention Dylan Carlson, and notice that I did not mention Tyler O'Neill, because those two guys are the odd men out in this particular situation, especially if you're going to use the DH like the Cardinals have been using the DH to give Goldschmidt a day where he doesn't have to play the field, to give Arenado a day where he doesn't have to play the field, which is smart to kind of prolong those guys and keep them fresh for when it really matters, hopefully in the playoffs. But again, what are we doing? What are we doing with these guys? Are they bench players? They're the best damn bench players in the Major League Baseball, right? We got to do this is why a trade made sense earlier in the season, and it kind of baffles me, and it kind of makes me think that they're going to have to do something sooner rather than later, or you're going to risk, I don't know, you had to send Juan Yepez down to clear room for Newt Barr, and Juan Yepez would be on most Major League rosters, right? It's crazy. Yeah, now Matthew Liberatore's down there tearing it up. Oh, who are we gonna send down for him? I guess Jake Woodford, maybe. I don't know. Jake Woodford pitched really well last night. So that's what I'm saying. Like, what are we gonna do? What's the plan here, guys? Like, what's the plan? We need to consolidate some of these spots, and the way you do that is by making a trade. And to be fair, I don't know if there's not a trade available, but this is why I really think something's got to give here. If they're not talking about this right now, they need to be, because I don't think there's a world where you can keep Tyler O'Neill on the bench. I don't think there's a world where you can keep Dylan Carlson on the bench for an extended period of time. So you're going to have to, I mean, that's putting a lot of stress on Ollie Marmol probably to get all of these guys in there. And I don't know.
Listen, everybody in St. Louis is talking about, and rightfully so, Jordan Walker. But the other guy that you have starting today, Burleson, is he's the non-talked about rookie phenom. He's having a year. And so here's what I think. Listen, I know the Tyler O'Neill thing it's long forgotten now and all of that kind of thing. He's a trade chip. And they're gonna trade for pitching, and they have to, because they cannot sit at 6-8, under 500, 4-6 in their last 10, with over half of their lineup batting 300 plus. There's a reason why people have been picking Arenado, Goldschmidt, Walker, Burleson in the beat the streak, because they're hitting the ball. There's no way a team like the Cardinals that's hitting the ball like they are, it's scary to me. If they get some pitching, it's scary. It really is. And I know it's early. I know it is. But and at some level, I think, well, we'll just leave it at that. I mean, I think they've got to have a plan. If they don't have a plan, something's wrong, and something's going to have to change, because I see some of those guys. How many years do those guys have on their contract? When are they free agent eligible? I mean, we got to start looking at some of those things. You're probably doing the research on that, but
well, Tyler O'Neill is the obvious one because I think he went through arbitration. I think he's only got 1 or 2 years left. I think he's the guy they have the least amount of control on. The rest of them, especially Burleson, Walker, and Carlson, I mean, forget about it. They've got those guys for a long time
Right.
under contract. So, yeah, Tyler O'Neill's
What
the
about
obvious
Newt
one. Newt Bar, same deal. I mean, he just got called up last year, didn't he? So, yeah, I mean, or maybe 2 years ago, but yeah, so they have all kinds of control on those guys, which is why they're so valuable to other teams. And so if you trade away a Tyler O'Neill, sure, okay, that judging by what the Cardinals have done in the past, okay, let's say Tyler O'Neill's the obvious one, but he's probably less valuable than some of those other guys because of that, right? Because he doesn't have as much time on his contract on a cheaper deal before you have to renegotiate with him, which is exactly why the Cardinals are likely interested in trading him. That's probably who is at the top of their list. Now, I could see Dylan Carlson also being a guy because, like you said, it was very interesting to me that Burleson was getting starts over Dylan Carlson, and that tells us something. That's a little peek into how the Cardinals view Alec Burleson, and especially considering he's a left-handed batter, I think that's probably, and I know Carlson's a switch hitter, but Burleson is a legit left-handed bat. He's hitting 289 right now with an OPS of 841, which is outstanding. He's only 24 years old. So, and that's in, 38 at bats. And so we'll see if he can continue to keep that up, but he's a great looking prospect. Like you said, really young guy. I mean, he's just over 100 at bats. So he's going to go through peaks and valleys. But the nice thing about the Cardinals lineup is when you've got those younger guys that can provide sparks and are going to be inconsistent, but you pair those guys with 3 guys, and I know Contreras hasn't been great so far. You pair those with 3 guys who should be consistent with Arenado, Goldschmidt, Contreras, right? And if you even want to throw Donovan in there, Donovan's been pretty consistent in his time with the Cardinals, but even he hasn't been up that long. So you got the veterans combined with the kids, and now you just need the starting pitching. And there's been some good things, as I noted in my weekly breakdown with the starting pitching. I mean, Jordan Montgomery's been fantastic. Jack Flaherty's he had a better start. In his last start, he didn't walk nearly as many guys. He only walked 1 guy in his last start. His stuff's been really good. But the problem is Michaelis has had 3 bad starts in a row to start the season. That can't happen, especially when he's one of your top of the line guys. Steven Matz has been bad. Steven Matz pitches today. Hopefully, it's a get right spot for him against Pittsburgh. Although Pittsburgh's got some bats, man. I mean, Brian Reynolds, they have McCutcheon. They're not as bad as people think. Now they're probably going to finish near the bottom of the division, but their bullpen's really good. So, this isn't. What I'm saying is the Cardinals are really good, and they're the most talented team in the NL Central. I still believe that. I still believe at the end of the day that the Cardinals are going to finish first in the NL Central and go to the playoffs. However, it's not going to be as easy as many Cardinals thought it was going to be at the beginning of the season because the Cubs are better, because the Brewers have those 2 guys at the top of the rotation. The Cubs are better. I said the Cubs were going to be better, so I don't know why you're saying that. I said the Cubs would be better, but I still think I'm sticking to my predictions at the beginning of the season. It's going to be a lot harder than Cardinals fans thought it was going to be. I think some Cardinals fans just thought, based on the talent that we have, that we were just going to mosey on into the playoffs and we were going to mosey on into another NL Central championship. That's not how this works, guys. I got news for you. There's 29 other teams in Major League Baseball, 4 other teams in our division that have the same goal as you, and they get paid too. So it's not going to be as easy. It's never easy. So we should never take this stuff for granted, which is why it's so impressive what the Cardinals have been able to do. So again, they've got a lot of decisions to make. It's going to be fascinating to monitor the outfield decisions. It's going to be fascinating to watch the starting pitching, because I could see it. If the starting pitching is just good enough, what do you think the Cardinals are going to do? Well, we don't just want to get, and you don't want to give these guys away. I get that. You just don't want to give them away. But at the same time, you cannot tell me there's not a growing problem here that some guys, this chemistry, this, how are we going to manage this? And at what point are you putting your manager in just an impossible situation? And but this is fascinating. It's like we have too many good outfielders. What are we going to do about it? We need starting pitching. I know it's easier said than done to make a trade happen, but this is the situation. It's going to be fascinating to see what the Cardinals do. So
I have to tell you that the Cubs have a very similar issue in terms of, we've got Matt Mervis down there. We've got Christopher Morel down there. We've got Pete Crow Armstrong. We've got Brennan Davis. We've got, down in the minors here that these are some guys that could be playing. And so I think the Cubs are really positioning themselves well. And if they continue to play well, the only difference is, in my opinion, in regards to the Cubs and the Cardinals is, listen, Justin Steele is throwing well this year. Our starting rotation, with the exception of Hayden Wesneski's rough start this week, they got a rotation that's doing all right. And the bullpen is coming through. Our bullpen's not throwing bad. And so I've said it, since before the season began, an underrated pitching staff, in my opinion. I think that they're really going to surprise some folks this year and be competitive with some of the pitching staff that we have.
We're up against it. Do you want to? I have a question for you. We're just going to do this live on the air. Do you want to do the dictionary segment now, or do you want to make it its own separate video later?
Listen, I'm just going to say this real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Sing the song.
It's the Dixon's Baseball Dictionary segment of the show where Mike pulls out his dictionary.
We got to do it as part of the show. Come on, the Paul Dixon Baseball Dictionary, page 359. And there's a reason for this, because this is timely. It's timely. It's a very timely thing. The Cubs are playing earlier in the week at Wrigley Field. They're down to the Seattle Mariners, 7-0. 7-0. Uh-oh. We're talking about, I start seeing tweets about, remember, they can't pitch position players and blah, 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 blah. The Cubs come back and win the game in a Garrison finish. A Garrison finish. Page 359. A game in which a team, initially almost hopelessly behind, comes through to win the game. It's been said that a true Garrison finish requires the winning team to have been down by 5 runs with 2 outs in its last at bat. I don't care if that's what the dictionary definition says. The Cubs had a Garrison finish against the Seattle Mariners. Okay, maybe I'm a little bit wrong in the use of the term, but big win for the Cubs earlier in the week. There you go. We got the dictionary segment out of the way. Tweet of the week. Real quick. My tweet of the week. MLB teams with the most negative perceptions of the rule changes. The tweet is from Dom Frederick at capital DOM_FREDERIC. Don't know how accurate it is, but the teams based on the percentage of total team tweets with negative sentiment towards the rule changes. For example, I hate the pitch clock. Who leads in that category? The Chicago Cubs. Chicago Cubs fandom has the most negative perception of the rule changes. And Dom says, I don't know how accurate it is, but it sure makes sense. Wrigley is the best place on earth. And the less you can be there, the worse it is. Quicker games are nice, but there's not another fan base that loves spending time at their park more than Cubs fans. The federal landmark is just different.
It sure is different, all right.
You got a tweet of the week?
Yeah, there is a tweet I retweeted on my account. You can follow me at Seth_DIEWOLD on the Twitter machine. And it is Jordan Walker, players like Jordan Walker, reacting to Jackie Robinson Day. And there's about a minute-long video that the Cardinals put out. It's Jordan Walker, Jack Flaherty, and Jordan Hicks discussing what wearing 42 means to them. I urge you all to go check that out. On Twitter, you can follow me at Seth_Diewold. You can follow Mike at Michael Jones IA, and you can follow the show at Long Live Baseball with 1L. And there will be a link in the description to the podcast as well we have a podcast on Spotify. And I would urge you, if you like what you saw, like the video, subscribe to the video if you want more of it, and click the alarm bell if you want to be notified when we go live. Saturday mornings is typically our day. But Mike, do you have any final words of wisdom before we end the program this morning?
Join us on the MLB at Play app. We got a whole segment that we want to talk about that. Do be looking for, I'm going to do a special segment on Jackie Robinson Day thanks to Nisei Lounge's tweet regarding Mike Royo's article. It's kind of a famous article. I'm going to do a segment on that later in the day, and hopefully that'll be published sometime today.
All right. For Mike, for myself, long live baseball and go Cardinals.
Let's go Cubs.
All right. We will see you next time.
Long live baseball.
Thank you.
Hey, long live baseball,
Long
baby.
live baseball. Let's go.
Long live baseball.
Thank you.
You got it.
Right now.
Long live baseball.